So let's just cut through the cow shit. You lose. It's over. So you're gonna line up in front of your little houses and you're gonna work up some apologies. And then the person with the latest one is gonna get killed. Then I kill Rick in front of everybody and we move on. You have 3. Count them. 3 minutes to open this gate or we start bombing the shit out of you.
They got out. Come on.
Hey guys, Kiwi here. In this video, I'll be breaking down and analyzing all the new sneak peeks for next week's episode of The Walking Dead, as I mainly jump into the original source material and base a few predictions off of the comics. With that being said, warning is spoilers for everything in the show up to Season 8, Episode 8, How It's Gotta Be, along with issues 119 to 122, and let's jump right into this. Now, I've broken it down in greater detail during my original prediction video for episode 808, but Negan and the Saviors end up catching just about everyone by surprise, resulting in multiple potential ambushes along with a main attack on Alexandria. Feel free to go check that out if you want, but here I'll be elaborating on it as I eventually take out examples from the comics. So, in the promos we can see everyone at Alexandria frantically freaking out due to Negan announcing that he's at their gates. As of episode 807, we haven't actually seen Negan and his men escape the sanctuary, but I assume that we may jump back and get some sort of explanation to that, considering the mid-season finale is 90 or so minutes long. Now, although Alexandria is the main target, I believe that other groups could possibly be getting attacked as well. First off, there's Maggie and Jesus getting stopped on the road due to a tree falling, and this is reminiscent to how everyone got cornered by Negan in the season 6 finale, so Maggie is probably correct in assuming it's the Saviors. Then there's Enid and Aaron getting spooked by someone during the night who may be a savior, or maybe someone from Oceanside, I'm not sure, but we can also see Carol running at nighttime and she's at the Kingdom, so is the Kingdom getting attacked or something? I'm unsure of how many men Negan has even scavenged together, considering that all of his outposts have been attacked along with his main headquarters at the sanctuary, but it would make sense that everyone would be ambushed at the same time during the night, and Negan does still have all of his lieutenants, so he could have gotten them to go in different directions to ambush everyone and anyone possible, but I feel like Negan would want most of his main forces at Alexandria for his rebound attack. Now with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the comics as we actually explain the attack at Alexandria. It starts at the end of issue 119, and it actually involves a moment from the comics that they've used multiple times. So I've explained this to death, but here we go. Holly gets captured in the comics during the beginning of All Out War, and she's taken prisoner and eventually killed off screen by Negan. She then appears with Negan at Alexandria, to which he gives her back to Rick without them knowing that she's dead. Denice, who's still alive in the comics at this time, pulls the sheet off of her head, revealing that she is in fact a zombie. Zombie Holly bites Denice, and Negan's rebound attack at Alexandria is launched. In the show, they remixed this not only in The Walking Dead with Sasha, but also during Fear the Walking Dead Season 2. So first off, the whole Rapey Davy thing with Negan saying that they aren't monsters is practically identical, along with Sasha's reveal from the coffin, except in the show not even Negan knew that she was dead. Now in Fear the Walking Dead Season 2, Madison does the same tactic as from the comics, where she literally puts a bag over a prisoner's head who's dead, but the other people don't know that he's dead, and then she gives the prisoner back to his people, and as they pull the bag off, the person is revealed to be dead, and they bite the other person's arm the same way that Holly bit Denice's arm in the comics. Considering that they've practically remixed this twice now, I doubt that they'll do it a third time with, let's say, Father Gabriel, but we'll just have to wait and see. Anyways, now in the comics, Negan's attack is very explosive. Unlike in the show where he just seems to announce himself, at least that's what we see in the sneak peek, in the comics he gets their attention with multiple grenades chucked over the wall, and that continues once the attack fully starts as well. Houses get destroyed, explosions are happening everywhere, and people get blown up. Hopefully these explosions aren't too unrealistic in the show, because they've had quite a bit of unrealistic CGI the past few seasons. Hopefully they'll be able to space out their CGI budget a little better now that they don't have to worry about Shiva the Tiger. Rest in peace. But Anyways, in the sneak peek for the episode, I believe Negan says that he'll blow them the hell up, so I assume that the similar explosive attack will occur. Now in the comics, this is a flat out win for Negan. He blew the place the hell up and pieced the hell out. One example of a tragic loss on Rick's side would be the Denice and Heath situation. In the comics, Denice is a fairly different person who actually ended up dating Heath instead of Tara like on the show. So as I've explained, Denice gets bitten at the beginning of this attack, and her being the doctor and all makes this a pretty huge deal, but it just becomes more tragic as the situation continues. Heath ends up getting blown up by a grenade, resulting in him losing one of his legs. Denice, convinced that she wants to save his life, decides to operate on his lost leg instead of attempting to have her own arm amputated. So although Denice manages to save Heath's life, and he's still actually alive in the comics at the moment of this video being produced, but this sadly results in Denice getting a fever and having a slow, kinda painful death, and that being said, at least she is able to save the person that she loves, along with being able to spend her final few moments with him, but Heath feels really bad about this and really guilty. Now, who the heck could take this storyline, if anyone? Considering Alexandria doesn't have a valid doctor anymore, I'm not too sure about that, and actually what couples are even at Alexandria right now. I suppose it doesn't have to be a couple, but it just kinda wouldn't be the same. They could even still remix someone's leg getting blown off like Tara or Rosita, but I feel like it would be someone kinda more in the background like Tobin, and even so, it just kinda wouldn't be the same, although I would like it if they were to throw it in there if we do end up seeing all of these grenades. Next up, I wanted to discuss Dwight and what we may see of him during this attack next episode. In the comics, he actually proves himself multiple times during both Savior attacks. In this instance, he proves himself by turning on an entire group of Saviors and actually taking them out. So first off, Dwight took a few men around to the side of Alexandria to chuck some more nades over the wall, and Jesus actually chucks one back, resulting in a bunch of Saviors being blown up. The Saviors start arguing with Dwight on how they should hold the grenades before throwing them, as they 1. Don't want them thrown back at themselves, but 2. They don't want to hold it for too long and have it blow up in their own hands. Now Dwight just gives up arguing and ends the conversation by popping them all in the back of the head with his gun. Just as he does this, Jesus pops up from behind the wall of Alexandria just in time to see it all go down or just afterwards, and Dwight acknowledges him and says that he's still on Rick's side and that he wants them to believe him. In my eyes, mowing down a group of your own men in front of you is just about the best way to prove that you switched sides, so will something like this occur on the show? Since Jesus is instead with Maggie and not at Alexandria at the moment, I assume that if this happens, someone else will have to witness it, but who? Well, the first two people I can think of in particular who want Dwight dead being Tara and Daryl. Now, between the two of them, I see Daryl more likely to be the person to go for tossing the grenade back over the wall like Jesus did in the comics, but they could both witness Dwight killing his men for all we know. My point is that if they replace Jesus in the show with Tara and or Daryl, then this will give them a good reason to change their mind about killing Dwight. I could just picture them both in my head ready to kill him, but then they decide to stand down when they see how Dwight has just killed a bunch of saviors for them. And the final thing I wanted to discuss from the comics has to be the Negan and Eugene situation. Now, honestly, if you want a full in-depth explanation for this, go check out my episode 807 comic book predictions, where I explain how Negan captured Eugene in the comics. It may be a bit outdated as that video was created before episode 807 aired, but it's still relevant as far as the comic book explanation goes. I'll also be creating a full comic book comparison for episode 807 as I do for every episode in season 8, so be on the lookout for that as well. Anyways, in the comics, this is around the time that Negan actually first captured Eugene, even though he's been captured on the show since halfway through season 7, so I guess he's pretty much been with Negan a full season longer on the show. Now, in episode 807, Eugene told Negan that he can make them more bullets as long as he has the equipment, so probably see him show Negan the equipment that he found back in season 6 with Abraham, which is pretty messed up considering that Negan killed Abraham, so maybe that'll bring back some memories for Eugene and make him change his mind. In the comics, Eugene was reluctant to make bullets for the Saviors, but in the show he seems to have turned full-blown Negan, so we'll just have to wait and see. And again, if you want more on that, feel free to check out my comic book comparison videos every week where I compare and contrast the entire episode to the issues of the comics that relate to it. All Out War has been incredibly remixed so far, so it's pretty fun for me to speculate on what may happen next based off of the comics as well, but it can take quite a lot of time. Now, before Season 8 I did predictions for the first 3 episodes, where I discussed everything in the comics leading up to the Alexandria attack being issues 115 to 120. I was originally nervous that All Out War would only be half a season, but now we know that that's obviously not the case. They stretched out issues 115 to 120 to the first 8 episodes of Season 8, leaving the Alexandria attack until episode 808, the mid-season finale. Now, in the comics, All Out War takes place over the course of 12 issues, or 2 volumes, considering that there are 6 issues in a volume. Now, the first volume is just called All Out War Part 1, including the first 6 issues, and the second volume is just titled All Out War Part 2, consisting of parts or issues 6 to 12. Now, I mention this because it seems like although a bunch of things are getting added in and expanded upon, they're still pacing Season 8 relatively similar. All Out War Part 1 will consist of the first half of Season 8, Season 8A, while the second half of the season, Season 8B, will consist of All Out War Part 2. If that was all too confusing for you, I'm sorry, but I explained it as clearly as I could, so hopefully you were able to follow along. Leave any predictions or theories down in the comments section below. I'd appreciate a like on the video if you've enjoyed anything I've said today, or even subscribe for more Walking Dead Season 8 content in the near future. If you'd like to take that extra step in helping support my videos, consider checking out my Patreon where there's a bunch of different rewards involving the channel, such as a chance to directly influence the videos being produced. Now, it isn't necessary by any means, but it could really help in the long run. But as always, I thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.